the progressive paradigm that President Obama is operating from. He did present counter-arguments, yes, but it was more of a dispute, not a refutation. Now, there is a bit of a glimmer of hope. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, near the end of the debate, Romney began to make the moral case for natural law, and that's a start. But my main takeaway from the entire 90 minutes was that Mitt Romney wants to infuse $700 billion that we don't have into a failed program, namely Medicare. Now, the argument has been there, and it frustrated me to no end in the midterm elections in 2010, where our local candidate here in Virginia's 5th Congressional District was basically running on the idea that $500 billion had been taken out of Medicare by the Democrats. So this Republican, in order to win election, figured that the best way to make his case was to talk about putting that $500 billion back into Medicare. What sort of paradigm have we allowed ourselves to be thrust into when the Republicans are the ones making the case to save socialist programs? What bizarre universe have we found ourselves in when the Republicans are the ones who are championing Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, programs that started off, lest we forget, from the socialist paradigm of taking over health care in this country at the hands of the federal government. That is what Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid were designed to do, to take the power over retirement and health care out of the hands of individual American people and place the responsibility instead, and the controls that go along with that responsibility, in the hands of the federal government. And now Republicans are the ones who are talking about saving these programs. How did we end up here? Again, in 2010, it was $500 billion. Now it's $716 billion that we've come to find out was taken out of these programs to fund Obamacare. And it doesn't matter what the number is. It's an irrational argument to make that we are going to save these failed programs. We, the Republicans, who are supposed to be, well, I say we, I don't consider myself a Republican, but the Republican Party, which is the only viable alternative to Obama, unfortunately, next month, the Republican Party is talking about saving Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and saying that we're going to put this $716 billion that we don't have back into these programs because Obama was wrong to take it out of these programs. We keep asking the wrong questions. I'll get to that in a moment. But this is a consistent flaw on the part of Republicans. Asking the wrong questions. When you ask the wrong question, you are always going to end up with the wrong answer. It's an irrational argument to make, not only that we are going to save these programs, but that they can be saved. It's irrational to say that they can be saved, and it's precisely the wrong argument. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are broke right now. If you go and look at usdebtclock.org, as long as you haven't eaten recently, because it will make you toss your lunch, usdebtclock.org tallies the current unfunded liabilities for those three programs alone at just over $100 trillion. And actually, I'm pulling it right now so I can get the most recent numbers, because last time I checked it was a few days ago. So let me double check that now. Yes, U.S. unfunded liabilities. This is the grand total of Social Security liability, prescription drug liability, and Medicare liability. Total U.S. unfunded liabilities, $120 trillion. The liability per taxpayer comes up to $1,056,000. Every taxpayer in this country owes that just on Social Security, Medicare prescription drugs, and Medicare. So that's not even counting Medicaid. $120 trillion. Oh, and the next number after that, $906 billion. So, let's see. $121 trillion should be achieved sometime next Monday. Let that sink in. There is not enough hard assets on the planet to cover that $120 trillion. Not enough money on the planet, period. The correct premise, rather than talking about saving these programs, the correct premise is simple and it's easy to articulate, folks. I have posited on my radio shows before over on BTR an entirely bloodless way to end Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid with not a single human being harmed. We can end all three programs, not overnight. Of course not overnight. They've been going on for so long that there will have to be a weaning process, a gradual shutdown of these three programs. But make no mistake, all three can be completely ended within a span of years, maybe 15 to 20 years max, with not a single human being harmed. Now, why does it frustrate me that no candidate seems able or willing to lay out the simple case? And I will go over the plan in a few moments. Well, a couple of reasons I'm frustrated. Namely, I work in a factory. I get greasy and dirty on an assembly line all day long, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. And I don't even have a full college degree. I'm a couple of classes away from even an associate's degree in college because mainly family comes first and I have to work to put food on the table, so going to classes is not exactly the main concern that I have. I've gone off and on to community college for the better part of the last 10 years, taking a class here and a class there, getting them in when I could, and I'm still a few classes away. I think 3 classes away from an associate's degree. But working in a factory on an assembly line, basically being a grunt, getting greasy and dirty all day, and not having a full college degree, I can still articulate these actual solutions to these entitlement programs within 5 minutes. And a smart, successful, millionaire businessman can't? Why the hell not? It's not a question of capacity, folks. It's a question of desire. And if the desire to shun failed policies and programs is not there, then the least of our concerns at that point is who wins debates or even elections, because we all eventually and inevitably lose. If the political will is not there to seriously talk, have a serious discussion about ending these programs, if that political will is not there, and if the philosophical basis, the philosophical foundation to articulate why these programs must be ended and why they never should have been started in the first place, but beyond that, if you don't have the philosophical underpinnings to make that case, the entire country loses. Period. It really is that simple. $120 trillion in unfunded liabilities. I will repeat that again and again until it sinks in. Because right now, when you say that, $120 trillion, people don't understand what that means. You have to drive it home by saying, hey, there's not enough money on the planet. That will get people thinking. But right now, you even talk about $16 trillion in national debt, and what do you get from most Americans? Yeah, that was really loud. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can move this over. No. Trying to see how I can... Oh, there we go. There's a volume slider. Let me try that again. Wow, those are really loud. So I have to turn that all the way down before I hit the sound effects. Okay. Alright, well now I know. Not all the way down, but almost all the way down. And that's where I need to be on the sound effects level. Alright, cool. Future reference there. But yeah, you get crickets. Just crickets from the American people. Just talking about $16 trillion in debt. So multiply that by almost 10 to 120 trillion, and you know, it doesn't make sense to most people. You can't wrap your head around a dollar amount that large. You know, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you know, $500 or $600 a week. You know, that's your frame of reference. 120 trillion, you know. And again, the only way you can drive it home is to let people know that there's not enough money on the planet. There aren't enough hard assets on the planet to cover $120 trillion, which is, again, only Social Security, Medicare prescription drugs, and Medicare. Not even Medicaid. Just those two programs. Just Medicare, Social Security, and Medicare Part D, the prescription drug program, which, by the way, was passed by Republicans and was the precursor to Obamacare. It gave the Democrats a leg to stand on when pushing for Obamacare, because the Republicans passed Medicare Part D under Bush in, 2003? So again, not enough money on the planet. There we go. Turn that one up a little bit. There. Record player scratching is what that's supposed to be. Doesn't really sound yeah, okay. I guess if you turn it up a little bit, it kind of sounds close. Anyway, but yeah, the record player scratches at that point. Like, what? Wait a minute. Not enough money on the planet. Oh crap. So anyway, let me see. I'm looking at the switchboard here on Spreaker, and in the tutorial it was talking about a countdown timer to the commercial break, and I haven't seen that timer come up yet, and I haven't seen a commercial break play, so I'm assuming the account that we have doesn't automatically play commercials, which is cool. Yeah, it did kind of sound like zipping pants. Exactly. That was weird, but anyway, maybe they've got a better record scratching sound effect in the file somewhere. I'll have to play around with this, but nonetheless. So basically, that's what I wanted to get out. That, you know, the idea that somehow the Republicans are going to be the champions of entitlement programs now. How do we expect to win any debate philosophically? How do we expect to do that if the people that we are stuck voting for are the ones who are now sounding like the old liberals of